Ranger Ethan Cole had given more than 15 years of his life to the wilderness, treating the vast green forest as his true home. His closest companion was Bruno, a loyal black Labrador, brave, steadfast, and always by his side on every patrol. Most days the two wandered through the winding trails of the Masai Mara Reserve, tracking animal movements and checking sensitive areas. But then came a relentless rainstorm that lasted for days. The sky darkened. Usually calm river turned into a furious flood. Water surged higher and higher, tearing down trees, sweeping rocks and soil into chaos, making every patrol dangerous and urgent. The ranger teams were forced to split into smaller groups, each spread across the reserve to assess damage and rescue trapped wildlife. Ethan drove his old pickup through the storm, Bruno sitting in the back seat, ears pricked, eyes locked on the raging river. Thunder cracked above, lightning tore through the gloomy sky, and cold winds howled through the window, filling the truck with unease. Suddenly, Bruno leapt up, barking sharply, his gaze fixed outside as if he had spotted something urgent, braked hard and peered in the same direction, but saw nothing beyond the swirling, rain-choked water. Before he could react, Bruno bolted from the truck, sprinting straight toward the riverbank. Ethan shouted his name in panic, but it was too late. Bruno's black body plunged into the raging flood, powered upstream, each wave crashing against him, threatening to drag him under. Ethan ran along the muddy bank, heart hammering, eyes glued to his companion, unable to understand what had driven him into such danger. Then he saw it, a tiny yellow, spotted figure struggling in the current. A leopard cub, soaked to the skin, eyes wide with terror, breath weakening with every second. It thrashed desperately, but was clearly losing the fight against the river's force. Bruno growled low and pressed forward, clamping his jaws gently, but firmly around the cub's neck, in an instinctive act of rescue. The current tried to pull them both under, but Bruno dug deep, every stroke pushing him closer to shore. Ethan ran beside them, shouting encouragement, ready to dive in if Bruno faltered. Halfway back, the cub stopped resisting, its body limp in Bruno's grip, breathing faint and fragile, tragged like an eternity. At last, Bruno reached the bank, battling mud and tangled branches. Ethan dropped to his knees, reaching out with trembling arms to haul them both to safety. Heart-pounding, he pulled his exhausted companion onto solid ground. Bruno collapsed, panting hard, still refusing to let go until the cub lay beside him. For a moment, both animals lay motionless under the cold rain. Ethan knelt beside them, eyes burning with emotion as he realized he had just witnessed a miracle. The cub shivered weakly, eyes closed, its faint breathing barely clinging to life. Wasting no time, Ethan grabbed his walkie-talkie, called for help, and gave the coordinates, demanding the veterinary ambulance immediately. Back at the truck, wrapped Bruno in a dry towel. The dog's body trembled from cold and exhaustion, but his eyes stayed locked on the cub. At the veterinary center, cleaned away the mud, checked the cub's lungs and heartbeat, and listened with equipment. A faint groan escaped its throat, its eyes fluttered open, sparking a collective sigh of relief as hope returned. Bruno too was examined, and though scratched and utterly spent, had no serious injuries. Ethan waited outside the treatment room, gripping his cap tightly, his heart caught between anxiety and pride. When the vet finally announced the cub would survive if given careful treatment, Ethan bent to stroke Bruno's damp fur, whispering his thanks. Chest swelled with pride. He knew he had witnessed a friendship that transcended species. Ethan was soon given a special duty, caring for the cub alongside Bruno during its recovery in a semi-wild enclosure. At first, the cub was shy, hiding in corners, eyes filled with fear and uncertainty. Bruno lay nearby, patient and gentle, occasionally offering a soft whine as if reassuring the little creature it wasn't alone. One afternoon, finally crept forward, sniffed Bruno, and pressed its small head against his fur. Ethan's eyes filled with tears at the sight, realizing love could erase the lines between species. Day by day the cub's strength returned. Its golden coat grew glossy, its eyes brightened with determination. Fellow rangers came often, astonished by the unlikely bond, marveling at the touching scenes. Ethan cared for them both with unwavering devotion, seeing it as a gift from nature itself. Bruno became the bridge of trust, teaching the cub that not all humans were a threat. Once, cub scratched itself learning to climb. Bruno tenderly licked the wound, while Ethan carefully dressed it. Over time, their bond deepened, teaching everyone who witnessed it that love truly knows no boundaries. when the cub grew stronger, moved into a larger semi-wild habitat designed to mimic the wilderness. Ethan guided it through exercises, stalking bait, climbing, regaining agility. Bruno often barked from outside the fence, urging his young friend to embrace independence. Sometimes the two would run side by side along the enclosure, one inside, one out, as though racing, creating a scene that was both joyful and heartbreaking every afternoon. Ethan sat quietly by the fence, watching Bruno and the cub chase each other, his eyes heavy with the sadness of knowing the day of parting was near. 6 months had flown by. Little Leopard was no longer fragile. Its body had grown strong, its steps carried authority, and its gaze now burned with the courage of a true predator. Farewell day finally arrived. A special vehicle was prepared to return the cub to the remote grasslands where it truly belonged. Ethan brought Bruno along, and the moment the dog saw his friend, he rushed over, licking the cub's face. The young leopard pressed its head back against him, reluctant to let go, clung to each other, barking, growling, and calling out, sharing what felt like their last conversation. Ethan's chest tightened painfully at the sight. The veterinarians spoke gentle words of comfort, yet even they couldn't hide the emotion in their eyes, as they witnessed such a bond across species. Before stepping into the truck, the cub turned back. Its moist eyes seemed to carve Bruno's image into memory. The brother who had once pulled it back from death. Ethan knelt to embrace Bruno, whispering that they had given everything they could. Bruno lifted his head and released a long, echoing bark, the sound rolling like a farewell across the reserve. The moment froze everyone in place, eyes misting with tears. The vehicle pulled away, carrying the cub toward its destiny. Each stride it took was powerful, purposeful, leaving behind a final roar that faded into the vast wilderness. By Ethan's side, sat silently, eyes fixed on the horizon. Then he barked once more, as if sending his blessing into the wind. Ethan rested a gentle hand on his loyal companion's back and whispered that they had given a wild soul a second chance at life. In his heart, the memory of that stormy, flooded day remained vivid, a constant reminder that nature holds miracles beyond imagination.